Hey guys, Dan Frigolette here from Sexy People Podcast, formerly Porn Stars Are People. I wanted to apologize personally for the period of time where we haven't put out episodes. It's been a long, hard year post-pandemic, and I've had a lot of health issues, to be honest, and that has caused the period of time where we didn't give you any content. Thank you for staying with us. I promise we will not allow this behavior to continue. New episodes start now. Sexy People Podcast. I'm Dan Frigolette. Thank you for listening. Apologies for the period where we were not around. Today is a very fun and interesting episode. This is actually my fourth time interviewing our guest. We did like a pre-episode episode we didn't record. We recorded an episode that apparently I didn't record, and then we just did another post-episode episode of just hanging out. That was another. So this is like the fifth hour that I'm talking to our guest. So we're like besties by now. But welcome to the program, Brody Kayman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And to add to that, if it doesn't work this time, we're just complete shit.
If we can't figure it out this time, it's a wrap, and we're never putting this episode out. Thank you for being here. There's a new thing I started with you, and I'm gonna have to do it again. 30 seconds. Just brag about yourself for a little bit.
So basically, I came from a trailer in the middle of nowhere, and I live in West Hollywood, and I am rapidly gaining popularity to be on the way to be one of the top gay porn people. I haven't won any awards yet, but I can assure you at some point I will. We're just not there yet.
All right, I love it. I love it a lot. It's I think it's fun to put people on the spot, but also it's like I don't know how to like read somebody's bio. It's just like the bio is like he has a huge cock. So that's the first question, I guess. And I'm feeling saucy and I'm feeling British. What's it like having a massive wiener?
Well, okay. So first of all, everyone who doesn't have one wants one. And the people that do have one understand that it's not a walk in the fucking park.
Okay.
Finding underwear, finding, a way to like basically strap it to your legs so you're not like a public
nuisance.
Indecency.
Okay.
Not to mention that it's very difficult to find someone that can actually take it and have it be enjoyable.
Yes. Okay. So I'm not going to say where I fall in the spectrum, but I relate to some of the things that you're saying. Okay. So number one thing, in doing these podcasts on the boy side, I've realized that there is like a standard to like how much dick print you can show on social media. I didn't know that. I don't think most people know that.
Yes.
So constantly you're trying to like walk the line of how much like what did they call it? Eggplant Tuesday? Do you remember that when this happened?
What is Eggplant
Tuesday? So the game, who's a rapper, apparently is stacked, and he put like an underwear shot out, and then they started calling it Eggplant Tuesday. I can't remember if it was Tuesday or not. It didn't rhyme with anything. So that was like a thing, starting to show penis print on social media. So can you get flagged for showing too much penis print without showing any of your actual genitals?
Yes. And so it's a very delicate line, and it has to be very minimal, and whatever video you're doing has to not have anything to do with that. It's just something secondary that people who want to see it will notice that it's there, and people that don't want to see it are focusing on like, okay, why is this video this? I don't really care about that, because they don't understand it's all about the dick print.
Yeah.
Not about the
all
context.
About that DP. DP, and I don't mean double P. Okay, so the underwear thing. Explain this. Why is it so hard to buy underwear?
Okay, so one, it's incredibly uncomfortable because it's like if I taped it to like around myself, like the compression of having it squished up against me is not very good. And what else happens is about halfway through the day, the underwear start to lose some of the elasticity, and my dick ends up going down the pant leg.
Sure.
And it's like, why am I even wearing underwear? So I don't wear underwear unless
that's the solution. Okay. I have a separate problem where how do we say it? I am a grower, not a shower. So what happens is like to find a comfortable underwear for like daily use. and
that is also comfortable for nightly use, right? Because I go to sleep and then my dick changes.
We lost your audio.
Did we?
Oh, there it is. It's
You
back.
not hear me?
No, now I can.
When I go to sleep, my dick changes sizes. I don't know if people know this, but the penis changes in size throughout the evening. And so what happens is I wake up stubbing myself. So it's been like an actual problem lately to like have to figure out the underwear thing. But so the solution apparently is forget it.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, if I'm going to share my bed with someone,
Yeah.
I have to find some kind of underwear or shorts that I have to wear, because what happens is my dick will flop over in the middle of the night and they'll roll over onto my dick and I have to shove them off in order to roll over.
Like, these are real problems.
Yeah, these are like yeah, this is like a real issue.
So like, so in essence, like your penis kind of like needs its own bed. Like when you lay down, you got to put like an extra separate bed.
Yeah.
And
I
just
actually have
your
a photograph.
penis in.
I have a photograph I put online. It's like my dick on its own pillow. Like,
I think this should be a series that you put together where you just like where you dress your penis up in various different. This feels very British. This feels like a thing that like I remember when there was penis puppetry. I feel like you'd be good at this.
What is penis puppetry?
Oh my God, there's so many things that we have to talk about. Yeah, puppetry of the penis. It was. I think they even had a thing on HBO for a while, and I don't know if they crammed it into Real Sex or if it got its own segment.
I was gonna say I remember Real Sex, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, the problem was in Real Sex they would only give you like 3 minutes. They'd be like, "Fetish, what is it?" And then they would just cut away for 3 minutes, and they would just like go to like one fetish party, and then they would go away, or they'd be like, "Nudists on Real Sex." I don't know why I'm British. I'm feeling really British today. I'm getting finally confident in my British accent. Because also what I've learned is that like, as long as you, like, stay in certain boundaries, you can't offend anybody. Like, if I was trying to do, like, a Nigerian accent, people would be like, hold on, white man. But I can do British and nobody cares.
We can get away with that one.
I can get away with that one. All right, so there are, like, 1,000 things I want to ask you. I can't remember. Okay, so you started your life as a straight man.
I did, yes.
This was a thing that you felt because of your upbringing.
Oh, yeah.
You felt like you couldn't, and then now this is, our fourth conversation about this, but let me back it up. You grew up very, very Christian. Is that right?
Well, yes. I had a lot of that crammed down my throat from like the age of 8. And so I don't really care for religion at this point in my life. But
sure.
Yes. That was crammed to, like, there's certain things you do, certain things you don't do. And it didn't help that I came from like a very backwoods redneck trailer in the middle of nowhere, where everything's just backwards.
Right. Well, so where in the middle of nowhere, roughly?
So it was kind of in the countryside, I would say around the Schoharie area, north of Albany. It's pretty much country.
You're in like the Adirondack Mountains.
In the general area of that, but like the Adirondacks are a very nice area to be around and live in. Where I was like, okay, the trash can be over here.
Okay, interesting. I want to say it's like part of like Appalachian Trail. Like it's just like.
No, nothing that fancy, unfortunately.
I love that you think that that's fancy. The Appalachian Trail is such a kind of a skeevy existence. Now I'm offending people. All right, so. Grew up Christian in a place that you didn't find very open, right?
Yes.
And so, what did you do? You just did the things everybody's supposed to do, right? You like.
Yeah. So I totally went along with the quote unquote societal norms. Like you're supposed to, that are tied into some of the religious stuff. So you get a family, you buy a house, you take care of your family, you do all these things that the world says you should do.
Right.
And while I was doing that, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This will make me feel right. This is all that, if I do everything right the way I'm supposed to, I'm going to feel great. And that was completely opposite of what really happened. I felt miserable. I hated my life.
So I guess here's my question. I don't have any experience of like having an instinct and having a feeling that someone is telling me is wrong? Or what do you feel when you're a kid? Do you feel impure? Do you feel like
I
unnatural? Like, and what do you tell yourself when you're having these feelings? Obviously, like sexuality is something that's with you your whole life. So it's like, how
yeah.
does that narrative go in your own head?
I had a lot of shame around it.
Yeah.
I kept it very hidden. Even, I mean, I started being, I don't want to say sexually active, but I was very well aware of like sex from a very young age. I was masturbating at a very young age. And so there was shame even in that. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, like it was shameful to do that. It was shameful that I was so young doing that and no one could really, no, my parents were not prepared for that. They were like
Were you getting caught a lot?
caught with, no, I didn't get caught masturbating. Not that I remember. I don't think
Blocked it
anybody
out.
would be like, you know, my stepmom said she caught me once, but I don't remember. I think she's just full of shit.
Oh.
But, and that was when I was like 14 though. That was a totally different time.
Yeah. Well, this is weird. What was your first like masturbatory technique? Because the thing I didn't realize, like,
Okay, so
nobody like tells you, like, like there's no like at some point you see that thing, like the jerky offy like motion, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a thing, but like you don't start there as a human creature. So what was your first?
So I'm glad you mentioned that because I thought the way I started was just like, wow, I did everything so backwards, and then
Sure.
4 or 5 years later, I'm like, oh, this is supposed to how it's worked.
Right. Well, we're always looking for. Even now, I'm 40. I'm still looking for ways to streamline it, and it changes every couple of years. You know what I mean? What I use, how I do it, it
change it
changes.
So basically, what I didn't do the jerking off motion. I just took the top of my hand and I just like did one of these and just rubbed the tip of my dick like on my balls or whatever I could, like
On the
leg.
bottom.
It was mostly my leg.
On the bottom.
Yeah, just like that's all it took for me. And then I realized I was like, oh, I could do it this other way. This
Like
is
a
so much
sweeping
easier.
motion.
Yeah, just like a little back and forth.
Like the street sweeper. Just
Yeah, street sweeper, exactly right.
So I would hump my hands like on a flat surface.
Okay.
That was my move. But I was too dumb. I was too dumb and horny even from like a young age. So I was like 9 and like humping my hands in the living room as if like nobody would notice. And my cousin caught me once and I was like, oh no, it's from my back. I got a bad back. And I'm 9. I don't know why I have this. Oh yeah. I like became like a 50-year-old man. Yeah, I got a bad back. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, it's an exercise my doctor gave me. And even he knew at 9, he's like, no. You're humping yourself on my floor. Please stop.
That is hilarious. Oh,
so what was the moment that you saw or that you figured out that the agreed upon motion, let's say?
I think it's when I started. So I had my first computer with Windows ME.
Yes.
From like Rent-A-Center.
You're younger than me.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't
know. Yeah. I am pre Windows ME.
Oh, I remember Windows 98 too. I mean, I can remember as far as back as MS-DOS.
Okay, fine.
Atari.
Fine.
So I'm familiar.
So you got Windows ME from Rent-A-Center.
Yeah, so from Rent-A-Center, and that's when I was able to, like, once I had my own computer, I could start looking at porn.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, oh, it's supposed to be done this way.
Oh.
Like, this is how you do it.
Yeah. Wait, so with the street sweep, where do you go then?
You just rub it until you come. Like,
and you just let it rip. Just hands free, let it rip.
Yeah, you just let it go.
And you let it just hands free.
And then it just yeah.
You don't have to direct it, nothing. Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh man.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now I always want to direct it. I always want to like point it at stuff.
Oh well, yeah, it's more fun. Get a little bullseye.
Yeah. And mine's got distance. All right, we digress.
Well, that's good. That's good.
A lot of
I don't really have distance. It just flies everywhere. Like,
does it really?
Like mess.
Like a what was I gonna say? Like a hose under pressure. Like when you touch the hose and it just goes everywhere.
Well, yeah. Well, I also have a curve to my dick, so it doesn't like. So when I'm doing this, it's just flying everywhere.
Is your curve related to your behavior? Do you think you put the curve in?
I may have done that by how I jerked off. I'm
Is that
not
right?
really sure.
So that's the question.
But you know what?
That's the question. When you have a
Best thing
curve, do you
ever.
align with the curve, or do you, or do you, yeah, like, are you? What came first, the chicken or the egg? Right? Like, what came first, the
I really
curve
don't know.
or the
But I can
behavior?
tell you, once I hit high school and I
Yeah.
realized that my dick had a curve, I was so upset. I thought my dick was broken and no one would want me.
Is that
Fast
right?
forward to what I'm doing now, and it's like, it's the cornerstone of what I do.
Does
'Cause I
everybody
hit
want the curve?
yeah, I mean, it hits a spot that people are like, no one has ever done that before. And I'm like,
Oh,
I know, like, I get that. That's kind of
yeah.
like what I do.
That's what I do.
Yeah, it's just what I do.
It's what I do.
It's what I do.
Okay, so a lot of shame, trying to figure it out, street sweeping on the wiener. So, so now during this whole process, and again, I'm just trying to figure it out, like, because as a straight person, nobody ever tells me in my life that, like, I'm not supposed to be attracted to women, right? It's just like not a thing. So I don't know what that feeling is that, like, you're attracted, you're masturbating, you're having thoughts and all these things, and it's like, and then someone somewhere is like, oh, by the way, don't think about that stuff. Like, that's not what you're supposed to be thinking about. So how do you? So you got shame, but is there like a denial? Like, how do you deal with that part of it? And, like, really, what was, like, there's got to be a memory of the first time, like, you realize that what you're doing is wrong to someone else, if that makes sense.
So I've always been shamed into it, and I swear, my mom's old enough, and I'm 37 at this point. She's still trying to pray the gay away. And I'm
Really?
like, yeah, no, that. So the shame was attached to it at a very young age. And so I think that's why I denied a lot of it. And I was like, oh, if I just ignore it, it will go away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what happened was, I would do the thing and I would come, and immediately after I would have regret and remorse. And I was like, oh, I feel so bad about myself. And then the shame and all that stuff just stepped right in.
Yeah.
But I couldn't not do it. I mean, I could
Of course.
wait for long periods of time, but
Yeah.
eventually I would need to have that. I would want that.
Yeah. And so what was your first porn you were looking at?
Oh God. I mean, I feel like I was looking at, oh my gosh.
Windows ME. Was it boy girl stuff or was it boy stuff?
I think I would look at straight porn, but what I would do is I would look at gay pictures, because gay pictures wasn't as bad as the video.
I see. That makes sense to me.
Oh, here's another good one. So I used to, when I was living with my dad, I would he had these hidden VHS tapes. And I remember one, it was straight porn where this chick is fucking Santa Claus, and I was like, this is great. But I had to, like, make sure I rewound it to the place that it started, and, like, it was just, so straight porn essentially was where I started.
Right. Yeah. The VHS game was hard because you're using somebody else's VHS, and most likely the spot on the tape is where they came. Most likely they did not rewind it. And so now you have to figure out how to align it.
Yeah, it was
that you're in the same spot. And then also, like, if you're borrowing, like, your father's, you definitely don't want to come when he came. That's weird.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, actually. I was just like, oh, it's porn and I can jerk off to it. That's
I remember the first time I saw
thinking
VHS. It was way too late in the game the first time I saw VHS.
And it was 80s porn, and 80s porn was totally different.
Yeah, wild.
Totally different.
So you're like, you're living an illusion for yourself. Like, you're able to convince yourself that you're not watching gay porn and that you're not attracted to men, or you know the whole time.
Yeah, so I knew what I liked and I knew what I wanted, but I was shamed into not going down that path.
Yeah.
And again, it was this cycle that, every time the desire came to be too much, I would watch gay, even when I was married. I would go as long as I could without it, but then I would, like, throw in some gay porn and jerk off.
Yeah.
And then immediately when I was done, I had to go through and erase my browser and do all this stuff.
Okay.
And then I felt bad for a while. And
right.
It just was this awful cycle.
It, like, feels like you have a lie that you're just, like, holding on to all the time.
Yeah. And that lie or that secret that you're holding on to plays into how you feel about yourself.
Sure.
Which explains why my self-esteem was so low and why I hated the mirror.
Yeah.
I wasn't capable of loving myself because I had this secret, this shame that was just reoccurring.
Right. So I asked you this before, but so this is interesting. Like, when did you realize that you were stacked? Like,
So
is
this is
having
a
a big
very
penis like valuable in the straight community?
So it was kind of hard. I mean, I knew from a very young age that I had something that was larger.
Yeah.
That's because my family I come from a long line of big dicks. My grandfather, my uncles, my father.
Yeah.
And I only know this because everyone bragged about it. They all bragged about their dick.
Oh, so they were just like, oh, it's a family thing.
Yeah. My dad wouldn't wear sweatpants, and I'm like, okay, that's now I fucking make money wearing sweatpants.
Yeah. Oh, he wouldn't wear sweatpants because he couldn't go out in public.
Because it was just too much of an appearance.
It's a dick show. So literally, they're bragging at home. They're bragging at home, but they won't go out in public and show it off.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Because it wasn't accepted. I mean, in West Hollywood, like.
So this is like a Christian family who at home brags about their dicks. This is wild.
Well, no. Two separate things. So my mom was the Christian one. My dad was when I was 14, I moved in with my father, and that was a whole opposite side of the spectrum.
Okay.
However, the gay stuff was still very much like, no, we don't do it. I remember one time we were at a restaurant in Saratoga Springs with my grandparents, and I was like, I think I might be gay. And my grandfather was like, no, you're not. He called the waitress over and tried to get me to date her. I was like, what the fuck?
Massive denial. That's crazy. Wait, so you were finally coming out. Is this your first coming out experience?
So I wasn't even really coming out. I was just having the thought of like, I might like this. And I think I was like 16 or 17.
And you're like spitballing. You're like, hey, what if?
Yeah.
And they're like,
and my
nah.
grandpa was like, no, absolutely not.
It's definitely not that.
It's definitely not that.
Oh, it must be something you ate. The Olive Garden's weird.
Yeah, that's not it at all.
There must be something in the garlic bread.
Yeah. But to go back to your point, so I knew my dick was a little bit bigger than most.
Yeah.
But when I was married, like I would hint to it, like my wife would have friends over or whatever, and I wasn't allowed to have friends. They were all her friends.
Okay. This sounds like married life, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. I hated every minute of it. But I tolerated it because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and that's what life was.
Sure.
So I would occasionally like let it slip out, like, oh, you know, that I had a big dick, and she would get so pissed off. So I'm like, it wasn't until I came to California when I was 34 and started to go to the gay side, when I started to realize the gay men were like falling all over themselves and changing things about themselves just for the opportunity to be in front of me. And I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so now that my popularity is just going through the roof.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because I have an enormous dick.
Yeah.
And I've not come across many dicks that are similar or larger than mine. And someone was like, Brody, like if you're seeing this, like, don't you think like that means that you're like way up there? And I'm like, you know what? You're probably right.
Well, so there's like a weird denial in the world. Like I was such a shy kid that I remember like the first and second time, like girls in school were like trying to like hit on me and like say I was cute. I was just like confused. Like it all comes from your self-image, right? So it's like you're 34 and like nobody, and like women, by the way, women are not complimenting dicks. Like there is no there is no dick compliment. So like your wife is basically like, oh, you have a big dick, but no one can know. So like anytime I've ever been in a relationship where the sex is good, they won't tell no one. They won't tell their friends. They won't tell anybody because they don't want it to get out because they're worried that like other girls will try to like steal. So, and also then there's this other thought of like, oh, don't tell a man the dick game is good because it'll go to his head. So the straight side, there is no compliments of penises. It's wild out here. So it is interesting that like it's until you're 34 that like somebody's like, yo, your piece is fantastic.
Oh my God. It went right into like, you have the most beautiful dick I've ever seen.
And isn't it? It's like a mind fuck, right?
Yeah. That's why I didn't believe it, I think.
Right. Because you're like, I don't understand why you would say this. It seems like you're lying.
Yes.
I remember the first time the hottest girl I'd ever seen like told one of her friends that I was like attractive, and I was like, no, you guys are fucking with me. Like there's like, I'm like, you guys are just doing this to like mess with me. So I understand the idea of like, you get a compliment that you don't believe yourself because you don't have an experience that supports what this person is saying, and they're just being nice and they're being honest.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I realized about what you just said there, and I really relatively recently came to this thing, is like, I thought someone was extremely attractive, like one of the most beautiful people I ever met. And I said that to this person, and they're like, no, I'm okay. And I'm like, wait a second. I was like, if you're that beautiful and you're like, no, I'm okay, then I have no business saying that someone's lying when they're like, wow, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen, because maybe to that person I am. Doesn't matter if I feel that way to me, to them I am that, and I need to accept that and allow that experience.
Yeah. Either that or they're just trying to get the dick. Either way, it's in your favor.
Well, they're always trying to get the dick. That's like a non-negotiable.
No, well, you know what's funny, and this is a thing I realized recently in dating. I'm a words of affirmation guy. So I need, because I'm like a needy little comedian boy. So I need people to tell me how great I am all the time. I need them to tell me I'm attractive, and they need them to say nice things to me. It's like my love language, right? Not like
nice.
it is my love language, right? But so what I realized is I try to bring that to my relationships. And so especially as I've been growing over the last few years, like I like try to be clearer with women that I date, that like I am enamored and I think you're beautiful and I'm so happy that you're doing this. And what I found is that straight women are being lied to by men in a negative way. Whereas the only time I'm being lied to is when somebody is like mad at me and then they'll say something shitty about me now. And then I'm like, well, that's not true. Let's not be silly. But women are being lied to in a way that is very deceptive. And it's like a man will say a positive thing to them. And then it doesn't happen to be true. They're like, baby, you're the only one. Like, there's nobody else but you. And then they're cheating on the side. And so it fucks with female like confidence in words. Yeah. And so and then as a result, I've found that it's like it's harder to give like verbal praise. And so you going from straight side to gay side is like it's like a harsh transition just in the way people communicate.
Yes, they communicate very differently. And going from heterosexual to homosexual or whatever, I don't feel like I belong in either category. To be honest, I've like put myself in this outside of that kind of situation where I don't feel like I really belong in the heterosexual, and I don't really feel like I belong in the homosexual. So what I have adapted is like, if I'm attracted to you as a person from the shoulders up, I don't care about the rest. I like it all. So I guess they call that a pansexual, but I don't like to label anything. I'm just like, this is what I like.
This is the thing that I didn't, and I had a really good friend try to explain this to me as I'm trying to navigate some of these interviews when I'm talking to people on gay porn side, or I've just taken on boy, so I don't sound stupid. Like being a straight man, I can't understand any of like the challenges that like a person who dates someone of the same sex, any of the struggles they have. And what I'm realizing is it's like, why are you straight boys trying so hard to like label everybody? Like, let's start like limiting and removing labels, because it's like, it sounds dumb. It sounds like a guy from LA being like, I don't understand. What do you fuck? What kind of stuff do you fuck? And it's like, we don't need to like identify each other from that standpoint. And it is hard, even as a person who's woke and a person who's trying to be, say and do all the right things. Like, my brain sometimes is like stuck in like binary, straight, awful world.
And I understand that, because that's all I knew. So now, as you can imagine, I'm trying to adapt and learn about this community where there's this wide variety of labels. And that's the other reason why I don't like labels. It's like, I just want to be a person. I want anyone to accept me. I don't want someone to say, well, you're this, so I'm going to do that. Like, I'm a person. You are a person. It doesn't matter past that. Yeah,
it's the hardest thing. Like, people will always be like, what kind of comedy do you do? And I'm like, I don't know, funny? Like, it's like, what do you mean? Like, how much tighter do I need to make it? I'm a stand-up comedian. Like, that's already the tightest thing in the world. You want me to go tighter than that? It's like, you know, and the more we label, the more we like become, you know, the more we like limit our engagement and like put ourselves into a box.
Yeah. Well, and the strangest thing is like the East Coast and the West Coast are totally different.
Sure.
So the West Coast is more like laid back, relaxed, like we're gonna take a look at all the things and like accept a lot of things for what they are. Whereas the East Coast, it was like, oh, you like dudes, like you can only go to one specific place and you can't tell
Yeah.
nobody.
Yes, actually, that's a good insight, because a little bit, and it's got a little bit to do with the ocean, and it's got a little bit to do with like who we've put places, like accidentally, because like California has just become this area where it's just like, oh, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the ocean. Oh, it's nice. And then in New York, it's like, if you're not walking, get out of my way. So it's like in New York, we like need to know what's going on fast. It's like, I need my coffee now, get out of my way. And so that works its way into everything. It's like, cool, you're gay, go to Chelsea. Oh, you like this, go to fucking Hell's Kitchen. Oh, you like that? It's like, and that's become kind of the entire vibe of the East Coast. Also, the East Coast is where people were punching each other in the face a lot until very recently. Boston, New York, Philadelphia. No, honestly, they have stopped a lot. The last time I saw somebody get punched was a very long time ago. We are so lucky to like live in this era. People in the 70s were just getting punched for no reason.
They were tougher. They were
maybe
that was man, according to
maybe, but I don't want to be punched. Like I live in a you've met me. I have enough of like an outward aggression and like villainy that like I can like walk directly up to where the fight would be, and I'm like, I don't have a problem with you, but like give it like fight energy, and then the fight never happens. So I kind of like I like the adrenaline of getting so close to a fight and never punching or being punched. I've never been punched. But I'll get right in your face and I'll be like, yeah, that's right. I did say that. You know what I mean? Or like, I am so sorry. You know what I mean? It's like, but I will make sure that the fight doesn't happen. So yeah, we are definitely in that place. In the 70s, you'd just be like, hey, and they would just punch you, and then they would yell, it's a free country afterwards. That's what would happen.
Oh my God. That's very American.
Okay, so we skipped over the whole part where you like got married, had a life, had kids, got a divorce. You've accomplished so much in your life.
Oh my God. For my age, I have so much more experience
you got all the
than I have
things.
any business having.
Yeah, you've literally lived my dream and then abandoned it. Like I like have
because
kids,
it was a fucking nightmare. It wasn't
That's
a
fine,
dream,
but
it was
like,
a nightmare.
but you got to understand how many people's dream that is. Just like have kids, have a wife, have a all that stuff, and you did all that, and now you're like starring in gay porn. That's also someone's dream. You're like living everyone's dream. So
I'm just like, I want to taste all the flavors. But I feel like my marriage was very predatory, to be honest. My ex-wife is 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
She had 2 kids by 2 different people.
Yep.
And it was, I think, something where she's like, oh, okay, you can have a job, you'll take care of me. And then, she magically, got pregnant. And I think that was just a way of locking me into what was going on. So I couldn't go anywhere. So I was permanently like a form of income at some point. And over the years, I brought it up. I was like, you just care about money. And no, I don't. Then she had her mom telling me she didn't care about.
You were the only one working?
Yes. So what she would do is, what she did. So she did barn stuff. She would go and like do some side things. Or at one point,
stuff?
Yeah, the horses. Like,
no
God,
shit.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that path.
Did you have horses?
She had a horse, yes, and then what she did was she would like train horses or whatever, which it's just whatever.
I love your straight life.
I hated it.
It sounds.
Okay,
of course you hated it, but it sounds so fun.
Well, because that's what everything's like. Oh wow, this is a great life, and then you get there and you're like,
yes,
no,
it's a horrible fit. You clearly you're not a straight man who wants to be in the suburbs and like be pushed down. But like I'm at that place. I just want to go live and hide in the woods. You know what I mean?
I did that. I would love when I was
and just
married,
have kids and a wife who hates me. That's my dream. It's so funny because. Again, it's so funny because your story is so much like a buddy of mine's, and same kind of vibe. It's like, anytime he would like about to be outed, and we all kind of know what his status is, but he's married and he has kids, and every time he's like about to be outed or like live his life, she just gets pregnant again and puts him deeper and deeper into that hole. And they have 6 kids now, and I know for a fact that they could not afford 3 kids. So
Yeah.
they're in this pinch, and
It's like
luckily
they're
they don't.
trapped together.
Yeah. Well, no. She's trapping him. She's not trapped. And thank God they don't listen to my podcast. But so okay, but we skipped the part. So you're how old when you get married?
Okay, so I met my ex-wife when I was 20 years old.
So you're 20
Maybe
years
even
old. She's what?
19.
You said she was 40. What was she?
So when we got married, I was 21 and she was 31, I believe.
And this is her third marriage at this point.
Well, no, she was not. This was her first marriage. She had just had kids with other people throughout her life. And
So she's learning from her mistakes. She gets pregnant, and then they peace, and she's like, no. Let's get the hooks in. Let's get married.
Exactly,
you cannot
right.
leave.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it, 100%. And, me being this person that a lot of, heterosexual or men that are hiding it think like, oh, I just have to do, this is what society says, this is what I have to do so that I look good, so that people don't know the real me, because there's shame and there's internalized homophobia. And at this point in my life, one of my main things that I want to take all of my success that I'm getting is I want to take that and I want to somehow write a book to be like, hey, you guys, like, I know what you're feeling. I know where you are, and I know how difficult it is. I can also tell you that to leave that situation is incredibly difficult and incredibly hard. And I've been homeless living out of my car, but you know what? To fast forward today, I don't have to hide anything.
Yeah.
I don't have hidden shame that I can't do anything with. Like, there is a life past that where you can enjoy who you are, and it's not wrong. You are a person, and what you like and what it doesn't make it any different than what someone else likes or dislikes. It's just what society says. And for a long time, it was shamed to be, religion especially. It's like, oh, you can't be gay. It's very shamed. But then you turn around, you have all these religious people banging their altar boys. And it's like, well, wait a second here. Like, what is happening? Why is all this, it's like the more you can shame it and hide it, the better it is. And it's like,
Well,
I don't believe in that.
It does seem like the older I get, the more I realize the louder somebody's yelling about something, the less true it is.
Exactly. And I can tell you, being out here in LA, the more perfect someone looks, the more fucked up they are. And the more money they have, the more fucked up they are.
But whose fault is that? But it's so whose fault is that? That's society's fault, right? Like that's the environment's fault, right? So like now that you're a hot piece of ginger ass with a huge cock, aren't you like isn't the reinforcement that you get kind of mind fucking you? Like it's like you're like, oh, I'm a hot piece of ass, I can do whatever I want. Like you can see where if you were 11 and everybody treated you the way that they treat you now, and then you did 40 years doing that, you could see why you would feel a certain way, right? So we make fun of attractive people because they're vapid and or whatever, but it's like there are certain elements of their personality that they might not have had to develop because they haven't had the struggles of being ugly at some point. We were ugly as kids. Like at least we thought we were. We thought we were ugly.
Beauty privilege.
And so that's why we're great. You know what I mean? And so it's like if your whole life is like constant reinforcement, you're like, "Oh, I'm perfect the way that I am." So there's faults with everything. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like you're fucked up if you think that you were ugly as a child, and you're fucked up if you think that you were beautiful as a child. There's nothing in society that will happen that will make you a well-adjusted, engaged person. Everything's fucking us up.
Exactly. I completely agree, and I think part of the reason why it's taken me so long to, like, when people tell me I'm beautiful, to actually let myself believe that is from a very young age. Being a ginger, I was bullied mercilessly.
Yeah.
I was treated like garbage. I was ugly. I was all of these things that I then became to believe. And now I'm undoing all of those years and years. And even when I was married, I was like, I'm ugly and I'm this and that. And part of that was due to that shame and that thing I was hiding. Yeah. It made me feel ugly on the inside. So how could I be not ugly on the outside?
So here's a weird question. So me growing up, I think the thing like bullies wanted to impart on men and other men adult men on young men is like this masculinity piece, right?
Oh yeah.
And so like they always want to question your masculinity. And as a child, you know, depending on how your life goes or how you develop or what your like puberty situation is or what your height ends up being, all of these things fuck with you. You just like as a child, you just want to become the biggest and strongest man with the biggest cock, right? And so it's like, how did it affect you to be picked on and bullied, even knowing you were stacked?
Well, I mean, again, I was almost ashamed of it because in high school I would hide books when I would, random boners. You can't hide that. So I would just put books in front of me so that nobody could see it because
Yeah,
I was just ashamed of it, which is completely ludicrous
right.
to think back now. Like I should have been having the time of my fucking life,
It's so funny.
and here I am
In your
hiding it
head,
in
you're like, in
books.
your head, like, I should have just walked around with a boner in high school.
Yeah,
That would have been
just let
better.
it fly. Like I would have had a lot more
That would have
friends.
been better. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely would have, like, life would have been much different. But that's the thing is like when you take, the shame and not, that toxic masculinity of don't cry and don't show
yeah.
emotion, and you add those two things together, and it's
Ugh.
like in reality, vulnerability and shame are things, and the more you can become comfortable and remove that shame, the happier you're going to be. And even though society still tells you that vulnerability is bad, vulnerability is one of the best things for you. Because if you're not going to be vulnerable in who you are, then how are you going to find that person that you want to be with? You're showing them something that you're not. You're giving off something that you're not. So it takes more courage to be vulnerable than it does to live by a society of be masculine and don't cry and do all it's just toxic.
I
It's
could,
toxic.
I could not agree with you more. I find dating to be one of the hardest things on the planet because the person that you're dating is trying so hard to like represent some thing in their head that they think would be desirable and not
Yeah.
taking the time to just be themselves. And it's like, the longer you know somebody, the more you start to like realize what the things that they're like trying to project are. And
Yeah.
and it's like it's nobody's fault. Like I said, it's like no matter what you do, you're going to be fucked up. So it's like
Oh
whatever
yeah.
things I think I'm supposed to be projecting is like my shit that I have to deal with in therapy, right? But each of us has like a different thing, and the problem is whenever you like try to be more or less of something that you are, in a sense, I think everybody's a catfish to a certain extent. That's what I think is
Oh
funny.
yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
you're on the
Yeah,
internet and you're saying
absolutely.
things that aren't true about yourself, you're a catfish, regardless of whether or not you're using a different picture or not.
Yeah. And to be clear, not to take a step back, but like the end of my marriage didn't have anything to do with my sexuality. It was just I got to a point where there was something really important to me, and she basically told me to fuck off about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well then fuck you." And I literally asked for a divorce on our 12-year anniversary. On our date night, our 12 years, I was like, "Well then fine, I want a divorce." And she's like, "You know what? That's probably best." And then as soon as court came up, she was like, "Oh no, he left me." And I was like, "Oh, you bitch."
Yeah, just I love like I love the idea of that moment. It's just like everything just like you're like, oh, like this is the last straw. And it's like sometimes you've come so far. Oh, this happened to me actually. I had come so far in changing aspects of myself, and there was just one little thing, and I like took it in, and I was like, oh, this whole thing, I've come way too far changing who I am, and to get to
Yeah.
here and realize that this is the last straw. So what was your last straw? And then I'll share mine.
So my last straw was like, so my daughter was, I think she was like 11 or 12 at the time. And my stepson was in the teenage years, and he was getting into the whole smoking weed thing. And so I didn't want that in the house around my daughter. And so
Fair. You're a father.
well, yeah, yeah. And on this date night, I had stopped back by the house to use the bathroom really quick. And I go into the garage, and it's like smells like weed. And she's like, "Well, that's not really in the house." And I was like, "Bitch, if you close the door to the garage, are you in the house or out the house? The house door is right there. Like,
Right.
I don't like go outside, go for a walk, get it away." And she was like, well, I don't care. And I was
You're not
like,
even taking
oh,
a stance against marijuana. You're just like, don't blow it in her face, basically.
yeah, like, I don't want her around it. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
And so she was like, well, I don't care. And I was like, well, if you don't care, that's really important. So we're not going to get anywhere for the rest of our life. That's for sure.
Right. We got 7 more years raising this child in this house, and
Yeah.
a major thing that I care about, you don't care about.
Yeah. And that's where I was like, that's it. I'm done. Like I'm just done.
And that's where the last straw thing comes from. It's like a weird, like idiom or whatever it might be. But it really is. It's just like, sometimes it's just that tiny little grain of salt and it changes everything. And you're literally like, that's it.
But
I've met my
because of
limit.
that one little grain of salt, I've had so many incredible experiences. When I left my ex-wife and I had my own apartment, like I did shit that's like, well, it was risky. So this married couple was like, all right, meet us at this place. We're going to put you in the car. We're going to go to the gated community. We're going to pull into the driveway with no lights on because it's the South and everybody's in everyone else's business. I need you to duck and run into the garage and go up the stairs and go to the left. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to die tonight, but all right, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
And it was one of the coolest experiences in my life, though.
What's funny
is this woman comes out of the bathroom and she's just like the biggest smile on her face. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's good.
What's funny is I think every person with a penis has put themselves in a situation where they're like, I could die tonight, but
oh yeah,
I'm probably going to come. So it's worth it. There's something wrong with having a penis.
So right.
And it's just like,
so right.
Listen, like I was in a situation once where I was in, I won't even say where I was. I'm in the part of the country that isn't anywhere near oceans. And I'm somewhere and I just like, I had this epiphany that like, I don't understand the complexity of another person's jealousy, even outside of a relationship, right? And so in my head, I was like, somebody could come visit right now and be so upset, and I could be dead, and that still would be worth it. I still would do this.
Oh yeah, because when this turns on, this turns off.
It's crazy, right? And then also
that much is true, regardless.
Yeah,
of whatever
and then
your
also, and when you have blood flow to your dick, not only are you making bad decisions, you think you can get out of anything. You like literally think you're like Superman.
Oh yeah.
You're like, no, I can just fly out.
Con yourself into anything.
Yeah, you're like, I can come. Her ex-husband can come home, and I can still fly out the window, no problem. As long as I get my nut.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's just kind of how it is for us guys.
So, what kind of content are you putting out? Will you do boy girl content, or you're all boy content, or you're solo content?
I strongly look at the analytics of what my demographic it appeals to, and
nerd
most
alert.
of it is. Yeah, well, these social media outlets offer so many analytics about everything that you can actually learn some stuff about yourself based off of what's going on there.
Yeah.
So,
teach me
I don't
your
necessarily.
ways.
I don't even know how to like really get into it. But the long and the short is like my demographic is mostly men.
Yeah.
So I cater more to men. However, I recently discovered that women love gay porn, and I'm like, well, okay, how do I tap into that market? Like,
if you love dick, you want to see dick, sure.
Yeah, I mean, dick is dick. And then for me, like I'm sought out because I'm a fetish. I'm tall. I have big feet. I'm extra pale. I'm ginger, and I have a giant dick. So I meet a bunch of different niches, which help me be successful in what I'm doing, but I have to realize what they are and play into them.
I'm just thinking of the SEO that gets to you. It's just like almost any keyword phrase gets to you somehow.
Yeah, and I have to be marketable. I have to be marketable to as many people as I can.
Well, regardless of whether just all the tags just end up at you somehow.
And I love that. I love that. I want that. But I also have to keep that separation between my online persona and myself as a person. And while I take the best things that I enjoy as me, I apply them to Brody. And, that is what I think attracts people to what I'm doing, because you can open the internet and see anyone fucking anyone, and it's no big deal, and they're grabbing them by the head and they're smacking them around. But what you can't see, or what's harder to find, is what I put out there, which is I have a genuine connection with the people that I film with. The sex I'm having is intimate, it's special, it's, we're connected. And that kind of thing is very hard to come across. But at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel connected to someone. They want to feel loved. They want to feel special. And if you can actually see that with two people, regardless, male, female, whatever, like I put that out there. I want people to see that my sex is passionate. It's intimate. I care about my partner. I mean, comments I've gotten like, wow, you really care about the bottom in the situation. You're attentive. You're giving them kisses. You're walking them through it because you know what you're doing to their body is like traumatic in a way because you're just so big. And people love to see that. They are just in love with that.
Yeah. That's interesting because so I know from straight side, and kind of the only reason straight men want to do anal is because you're not supposed to, and then maybe because they already did it with somebody, and so you're just like your male ego comes and you're like, well, I want to be the last one in there.
Oh yeah.
And but what I find is like the amount of people that have abused the anus, men are just violent. And they're just abusing anuses whenever they can. So to be gentle and to be careful is like an odd trait. And that's so strange. Again, that plays to like once you have like blood flow in your penis, you just become a barbarian.
Exactly. And so what I'm doing is I'm not just putting a dick in an ass. Yeah. I'm like, okay, what am I feeling? And when I feel it, what is their reaction? Yeah. And so that allows me to be even more connected because I'm not just putting my dick in saying, yes, this is for me, or yes, I'm going to pound you because I think that's what you want. It's more of how is my body, how is my anatomy affecting you? Like, is it bringing out pleasure? Is it pain? Like, I'm constantly reading my partner.
That's our job. Like, that's supposed to be our job as men. Either way is to be like attentive and like be checking in and like make sure, because like at the end of the day, it's not supposed to be like your side. Because for how easy it is to be a man and come, like the whole thing needs to be about whoever you're fucking, because it's like you said, you can just do the what is it, the street sweeper, a light breeze, and I can come if I need to. You know what I mean? Like it's not a difficult task. So I need to be so attentive to my partner in that experience because I'm entering their body.
My golden rule when I film with anyone is my goal is to fuck you better than anyone has ever fucked you in your life.
That male ego. Let's go.
That is not for my ego. That is for, when someone brings my name up, you're like, oh my God, yes, his dick is ridiculous.
That's the male ego.
Man can fuck.
Yes, that's the male ego. That's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
It's good for business. It's good for business
Absolutely.
Because these guys are telling their other friends, and they're like, oh yeah, I want to film with that person because they're a great person and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't want somebody to say, oh, Frigolette is fun to hang out with. I want them to say, Frigolette crushed on stage. That's all that matters in the field. That's what you want it to be. That's important.
But you can't crush it if you're not paying attention to your other partner, or to your partner, or to your audience. You have to be in tune.
Sure. So that's interesting. So you have to walk the line of like pleasing your partner, being true to yourself, and then giving the world the content that they want.
Yes.
So that's an interesting thing to. It's like,
but I never do anything I wouldn't normally do in my personal life. Okay. I'm not going to do things just because I think people want to see it. They're going to watch me because they're enjoying what I'm doing.
How do you walk the line for now? You're getting some fame. I think we both are aware of how much your persona's out there and the Brody stuff. You want to separate Brody from you, but now that you're out there, and are there experiences where people like want to fuck Brody? And you want
me get fucked? I don't get fucked.
Whatever, but like they want to fuck Brody. No, you don't not get fucked. Somebody wants to fuck me, they fuck me, I fuck them, whatever. It's all one thing, right? So, like, are there experiences when they want to fuck Brody and you want them to fuck you? And there's a difference?
No, because I'm at the core, I'm who I am.
But
And it
if you're
just
not
depends on
filming,
what I'm doing,
but if you're not filming,
whether
somebody
I'm
recognizes
gravitating.
you. If you're not filming, somebody recognizes you. It's a personal life experience, but they know your work.
Yeah.
Does it get hairy?
So I have fucked my fans before. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Men fuck their
Some of the
fans.
most
It's like
beautiful men are like, hey, and I'm like, hey.
it's a thing we do. We fuck our fans. I don't know why. It's a thing we do.
It's just,
I try
it's just
so hard not to
something
fuck
about it.
fans. Not that I have any, but
So the one thing I will do is I will have that sexual interaction, and then I will ask them. I'm like, okay, so now you know who I am and what I do. How does that compare to what you think of me online? And a
right.
lot of the times it's not too different. I'm
Yeah.
still, or they'll be like, wow, you're a lot more attentive and soft and kind, and the sex is not just pounding and aggression. It's like very intimate and very caring.
Yeah.
Whereas online, people want to see you just plow shit. They want to see the biggest dick going to the
They
smallest
want to
thing.
see you plow shit.
Yeah, just plow stuff away. Just plow away.
So funny. So, we're in a place in time. You entered the business where OnlyFans was like the number one thing for people to make an income on their own, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you find that OnlyFans is the best place to put your content, or do you find that a good mix of OnlyFans, self content, customs, and then doing like mainstream, like what do they call it now?
Studio work?
Studio. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question because OnlyFans has helped me an incredible amount with being able to have a platform.
Yeah.
There are many other platforms, but I started out with OnlyFans because that was the most well known. They have made it very, very difficult to put out the kind of content. You have to be very specific. It can't be outdoors. You can't be peeing. You can't be too aggressive.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's like so many restrictions now.
Oh, I didn't know that. So like you can put something on OnlyFans and then it gets flagged like Instagram.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Flagged. Yeah.
So what are the flags?
If you do it
outdoors. Why is it outdoors? Because you're technically breaking a law?
I don't know. Maybe they feel like you're breaking the law and they're just like, well, whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you're going to have a company like that and you're going to want to sell it eventually, you don't want to have that porn stuff associated with it. You want it
This
to
is
be
the problem,
wholesome
yeah.
and your investors and things like that.
Well, this is the problem, right? Is that OnlyFans at the end of the day is a business, and unfortunately, sex work is still not recognized federally. So if you make money openly from sex work, you cannot put it in a bank. And so when OnlyFans is going for investors, right? They cannot get that funding because of this. But the problem is they should be on the forefront of like lobbying and like using, like I know people that are making $80,000 a month on OnlyFans. So that means that just from that one person, OnlyFans is, what are they getting? They get 20%?
$20,000. Well, it's 20% of that $80,000.
20%, right? So they're making, I don't know, what $16,000 a month from that
16,
one,
yeah.
and that's one person. So they have enough money to be in a position where they can lobby. And that's what they should be doing, not doing this other thing, which is like shutting off last September because they said we're not going to allow new explicit content anymore. You got to understand your base, and it's weird for them to try and turn their back on it. But they're not be too political. So you need to be aware as a person in this business that kind of thing can happen, and you need to have like your eggs in multiple baskets, and you need to own your content so that you can redistribute it wherever is the next like big fad thing.
And I am very cautious about that. So to your point of studio work, so the last week was the first time I've done studio work in my career.
No shit.
Yeah.
How'd it feel?
So it was fine for the most part. It's 6 hours of being in a situation where it's like, all right, whatever. So it can be a little bit taxing. By the end of the day, I was exhausted, but I opened that door to see what it does for me for publicity, because I know I have all the parts and pieces that people want to see. I just need to be in front of those people.
Sure.
So this was a test run. This was like, okay, let's see how this performs. Yes, I got money for the performance up front, but okay, am I going to make even more on the back end because people are going to know who I am?
Right. Well, this is my favorite thing as a porn consumer is whatever platform, whatever channel I use, when there's like a newbie, I get so excited. And it's like it's that like male like imperialistic like conquer aspect. It's like, oh my God, I've never seen her before.
Yeah.
She's brand new. Like it's this dumb male thing where we're like, oh, we have to fuck something new and different. So you putting yourself in with other audiences is going to bring you, I'm sure, plenty of new and fun money. Did doing studio porn at all make you feel like a star in a different way? It's like there's like a crew and they're like holding lights and cameras and like, is there it's a different experience than just like self-filming, right?
It is a different experience. I caught myself trying not to laugh a few times because porn in those things are just so like, the storylines are hilarious.
Right. I didn't know. I've watched porn my entire existence because of the secrecy in silence. I have no idea what anyone's saying ever. And I've recently started watching and listening. And sometimes it'll throw me off my whole game.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Have you gotten to the point in porn where you're like, oh my God, I love that couch. Oh my God, I wonder that bed is amazing. Like,
so like looking at the background, you're like, really? What's funny is
that's a great house.
So the only time I had that experience was I went to one of the porn conventions for the podcast, and they put me in the VR thing and put the VR on.
Oh my God.
And I guess somebody was going to walk in and like masturbate or whatever, but I put the VR on and I started looking around the room. And I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, like that's the only time I've had that experience.
And VR porn is really cool. It kind of like, it fucks with your mind because you're thinking you should be feeling something, but there's nothing going on.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I've never done the VR thing. I don't really know how it works. I'm just worried because I watch a lot of the videos where people are like doing VR and then they like have to jump off a cliff and then they run into the TV. So the last thing I want to do is be jerking off and then accidentally like stub my penis on something. Like that's the last thing I want to do. Plus, I'm weird about my cum. I don't know. I've been open about this on this podcast. I don't want my cum on my things. I don't want to cum on stuff that I own. I'm like very careful about where my cum goes.
You know what I've noticed now that you mention that is there are certain guys that come so much, it's like, oh my God, when is this going to stop? Like literally cover your entire back from one orgasm. And I found that those individuals hate cum.
Interesting.
Because it's just like, it's such a nuisance. Because
I'm not going to say that that's how I identify, but that is how I identify. Okay, so let's just, so like certain things in sex are like weird and like hard to explain, right? And it's like, so a big one for me in the world is always like when you're with somebody new, I like to try to establish where I can come with somebody new way before we're having sex because that conversation's always weird. So like like you'll have a lot of conversations.
Just don't come in their hair and you're fine.
Well, but so because of the amount, the volume of fluid, I'm always like I'm like really weary to like let somebody go down on me to completion. I'm really like, like I just have to like I have to like it's I want to let them know like it's gonna like I'm going to cover you.
But that's really hot.
I know
and
people that love
take that to the gay community, they're gonna be like,
oh, I know people that love cum are all about it. But it's so funny that you said that. I didn't realize. So that's probably why, because it's like I can't just come on myself or my sheets. Like if I come on myself from like laying on my back, I'm shooting over my head, and like that's
fucking hot.
It's ruining the experience though. But so I'm glad that you said that. I didn't know that that's how I identified until right now.
But that's like, to me, that's like I love that. Like, let me put that on film. You know what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find someone I can fuck where it's all the way in there and you can like see it come out of their stomach, because that's a viral video right there. Like if you can see my dick poking out your stomach, like I need that on film.
That's not real.
Yes, it is.
Can that happen? That's not real.
It's gotta happen.
I think in our heads,
I'm gonna find a way for it to happen.
I think in our heads as men, we really do think, and this is like I think we can like rip somebody like all the way in half. And I think sometimes we're just so turned on that we just want to do that. You know, like, when you see like a puppy and you want to like eat it, like sometimes you just want to just fucking, you want to like destroy somebody and you want them to rip in half like a cartoon. But I don't think, we need to get a doctor, maybe.
For me,
I understand, but I don't like, there's a lot of twists and turns, you understand. You'd have to enter somebody's small intestine to get to this point.
Okay, but that's what I do. That's literally what I do. I've looked at the anatomy.
Yeah.
And I know when
You're like, where is this going?
Point,
yeah.
And I'm in
Where is this going?
I'm literally rearranging your guts.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah. So I guess it's good. Butt stuff is good because you can't bottom out, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, you can wear out your bottom.
Sure. Yes. That's.
I like they're going to be like, okay, this is enough.
Just rearrange the words. Yeah. But like with a woman, you can literally stub yourself. You can bottom out, and it's.
I used to hit my wife's cervix all the time, and she was like, "It's very uncomfortable. It's painful. I don't like it."
It should be for you too.
Well, no, it's not comfortable for me either. But still, like, that's the struggle. When I say big dick, like, you need to find someone that can take a big
BDS.
Dick.
You need big dick
syndrome?
struggle. Big dick struggle. Yeah. You know, people have big dick energy, BDE. Everybody knows you have big dick energy. You got that big dick struggle. People don't know about that. People don't know about your hips being misaligned because your dick's so big. People don't know about that shit. People don't know that you can't walk down the street and wear pants. People don't know that stuff. Okay, Brody?
but and that's the thing. Is like it's like frustrating until you find another person who has a big dick and they're like, oh yeah, this is. I'm like, fucking finally someone understands me.
I say this a lot. I would never want to identify as a person who had an amount of dick that I couldn't use. Right? I'm at the perfect stage where I can use all of my dick.
And that's great.
I can go balls deep, but like to like have like parts that you can't, like, that's crazy. Just to let you know, it's so fantastic to be able to use the whole thing.
Oh, I know. And when I can get to use it, I'm like, oh, this is what other people experience when they have sex.
It's
crazy. Great. It's like, wow, this is amazing. I wish I could do this all the time.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, like, even if
You're
I'm
a genetic
like
anomaly.
Yesterday I went walking through West Hollywood, and I don't wear underwear, and I do play into it. And so I'm walking, my dick is just out there. There's no avoiding it. People are staring like crazy. And I'm like, this is fine. This is what I do. And I just so happened to walk by one bar and someone was like, oh my God, Brody, I follow you on Instagram and Twitter. And oh my God. And I'm like, I stop. And it's very weird for me because I'm like, I'm just me. And I have all this stuff in the back of my head, like we talked about, like growing up and the redneck stuff. And then all of a sudden now I have to be something different. And it's very different for me, and I love my fans. To be honest, I was like, all right, cool. Because they could see it through my pants. So I was like, all right, cool. I told them about a contest I'm having early to make them feel special. And then I was like, hey, if you want to see it, I'll like pull my pants open. You can like take a peek down there. And they sure as shit did. And it's fine.
Yeah.
They
real
got
thing.
To see it in person.
Have people ever accused you of like not having of your dick being fake?
Oh yeah. It's very rare, but they come along. And and I just love to be like, okay, cool. Here's where I measured it. Length and width.
Yeah.
Boom. Go ahead and fight me now.
Well, there was these guys, there was like a run of guys in straight porn that had made like basically dildo dicks with like a tube down the middle so they could come on camera, but they had these fake dicks and they had it on both sides. And it was like this scandal in straight porn where it was like, ridiculous. And once they were found out, it was like, they couldn't.
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah. It was a scandal. It was a scandal to the extent of Milli Vanilli in the straight porn world. So funny. All right. How do we find you? How do we follow you? I haven't been keeping tabs. I don't know how long we've been talking.
I don't know. But one last thing before we do that, before we wrap that up is,
your show, not mine.
Part of my audience, and to play into what I just said about walking and called freeballing, is I do that like we talked about on social media. I do that, but in a very delicate way. Yeah. And that allows these straight men that can't search out gay porn, they can see something and they can, so it.
Well, it's a progression. As a man, it's a progression, right? So, like when I was 14, Mariah Carey in the Honey video, just crouching down and giving me a
Oh
little
my God, I
cleave,
remember that.
that would allow me to bust. So it's like it's a progression, right? And so
Yes.
I don't know. What's your plea to anybody who's in a situation where they feel inauthentic? They know internally who they are, and there's some kind of thing stopping them. What's your plea to them to go be themselves, wherever that would be?
So I can speak from personal experience saying that I know what it's like to live with that shame and that guilt and how much it plays into your self-esteem and your self-worth. And I can promise you that yes, it would be difficult to step outside of whatever situation you're in or talk and have that discussion with whoever, but being able to accept and love yourself unconditionally is worth so much more. It's worth all of that. It just really is, because your life changes 100%. You become a happy person instead of a sad person, or a person that doesn't like themselves because society says you shouldn't do something and you're doing it. And like, it just relieves all of that. And you can't really understand what that is until you've done it, but it's worth it.
And
100%.
you'll meet somebody who sees you for the you that you are, and they'll appreciate that you, and that feels way better.
That is so much better when you can just be authentic and be who you are, and someone loves and accepts you for that.
And of
That's
course they would.
unparalleled.
And of course they would. There's nothing sexier than authenticity.
Oh yeah. And that's what I go for with all of my films. That's authentic. When you see me fuck someone on film, it's not the first time I fucked them.
We've been beating around the bush this whole time. How do we get your porn? How do we buy it? How do we support you? What is the name of the OnlyFans?
I get excited. So it's I'm sure you'll have the links below.
You got us all juiced up. Now we want to go buy that shit. How do we do it?
So my OnlyFans is just www.onlyfans.com/rough ROUGH _ginger GINGER. That'll take you right to it. If you just search Brody Kayman in Google, it'll pop right up. You'll have all the things you need. And be able to find all the things that you're going to want to see, and that I'm going to want you to see.
And where's the best place to do that? I know we're worried about OnlyFans. Is OnlyFans your main place that you want people to go?
If you want the good stuff, if you want the films, if you want to see what that authenticity looks like, it's on OnlyFans right now. It's going to transition to other places, and by all means, I'll make sure you know how to find those places.
And how much is your subscription a month?
My subscription is $10 a month. And I've subscribed to other people's, and I'm like, wow, this is ridiculous. But I've gotten so many comments and compliments on the material and things I'm putting out there that my retention has stayed. I'm not filtering through people, I'm keeping people. Yeah. And it's like, it's great content. I work very hard. I don't just say like, let me fuck you and throw it on film and I'll throw it up somewhere. Like, I'm learning who these people are. I'm making sure there's chemistry. I'm making sure that I'm investing in what I'm doing. Like, there's a lot of work.
I'm going to tell you, this is the most impassioned anybody's ever been about their content, and it's been throughout the whole episode. So I believe you. So get out there, follow this gentleman, like his stuff. Pay for his porn. You got to understand, if you're seeing porn somewhere and you did not pay an amount of money, then chances are that your favorite performer is not getting any money from that. And why should we allow that to be the case? If you like somebody, make sure they stay in the business. This is the Sexy People Podcast. Thank you so much for doing this. What is now our fifth hour talking. I really like talking to you. I hope we can do many more of these. There will be bonus content. The audio was trash, and that's completely my fault on the episode that we did, but I love the content of that episode. So we're going to try to release that the best way that we can in as good of a quality as we can. If you're listening to us on a podcast, if you're on iTunes, we're on the other thing, Google Play. We're everywhere podcasts are. Please make sure to listen and pay attention everywhere. We're also on YouTube if you want to see the fun episode today. Brody entrenched in British flags. For myself and for Brody Kayman, thank you guys for listening. And again, apologies on my part for the void in content for a little bit of time. More explanation in future episodes. Thank you, Brody. I love you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had a great time. And I think this would be a great way to introduce your audience back into what you're doing, because I every time I talk to you, I have so much fun. So much fun.
I think we're gonna have to do like a re-up like every 4 months. I feel like, and just keep doing episodes, keep delving deeper.
Absolutely. Always happy to come on.
Sexy People Podcast. That's the episode. Hit that like button because you're going to do all the things that I want you to do. Please share this episode. If you enjoyed the episode, if you had a good time, give us a review. We've done a lot of things to change over the years, and some of those things were awful. So if you like what you're hearing, tell us that we're doing a good job. Send us an email, do the things, like it, check us out on Instagram, Sexy People Pod, all the places. And if you like the guests, give us some good comments and tell us who else we should have. Thank you so much for listening. We could not do any of this without you.